Welcome back. Today we'll code up the interface for the Disk LRU cache that we described in the previous two videos. If you have not seen it, please go ahead and look at the requirements and design and then come back to this video. So I'm going to use Android Studio and go ahead and create a new project, and I'll select a no activity just to keep it simple. I don't want too much of the scaffolding code in our application. Let's call this a simple cache. Simplify our package name as well, and click finish. Sometimes Android Studio may set up your Gradle project and it'll take a bunch of time. Just look at the bottom right corner to see what's going on. Once it's ready, in the left hand side on your screen in your App Explorer, you should be able to see things set up for you. So we'll go ahead and expand the Kotlin plus Java folder location, and then in our package I'm going to go ahead and create a new Kotlin file. If you accidentally select a class like I did, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and give it a name, and we'll just remove that class for now, and we'll type in our interfaces here. So remember, in the requirements we discussed having the dictionary like interface. So we'll create a disk cache interface first, and then instead of the get and set, let's just go ahead, and this is just autocomplete from Android Studio that's attempting to do something, but I won't fight with it. I'm going to just go ahead and create what we wanted. So I'm going to type in a fetch function given a key, should return back, we'll keep the key as a string for now, or return back a byte array. So it's a bunch of bytes that we have no idea about, and same thing for the store. We're given a key, we can store a bunch of bytes. So that would be a primary interface. But remember, our cache design also had holding some items in memory and some on disk. So let's write a couple functions to calculate the size in memory and calculate the size on disk. Just a few management functions, and then these are very simple, but we will talk about some of the more advanced stuff a bit later in our videos. So let's start with typing up some of the basic functions right now. So I'm going to go ahead and create two more functions here. So this one's calculate in memory size, and then another one which is calculate on disk size. Okay, so this seems like a pretty simple interface. I think that we will stick with right now for our first version, and then we can iterate over adding other functions to this and other members. So part of this interface is also going to be an internal class that is going to implement this interface, and we'll call it a disk cache impl, and we'll keep it internal. We'll talk about how an instance is created in a bit. I'll go ahead and implement all the members. We'll leave it as to-dos right now. We'll come back in another video and start filling up some of these functions. So yeah, going back to the disk cache impl, we want the developer to be able to create an instance of the disk cache. So I'm thinking we can add a builder to the main interface as a companion object, and I'm going to call it builder. And for now we'll leave it at that, but I think we also need to provide a configuration based on our requirements to allow developer to specify the amount of space the cache should use, both for in memory and on disk. but also the location of the cache. So let's go ahead and create a class, internal class again. We call it disk cache config, and in its constructor we'll add a bunch of parameters that we need. One will be the max size on disk, and the max size in memory, and then the location. And for now this would suffice. I would say we'll add more as we need it. This could also be a data class if you are familiar with Kotlin. But for now I'll just keep it simple. And now, since we have the disk cache config and the builder is going to be used by a developer, we'd have to allow the developer to build towards the disk cache implementation. And so we'll add all of these methods in there. We'll need some member variables to hold these values as well. So I'll go ahead and add that in a bit. Just bear with me here. I mean, this is a pattern that has been used quite a bit across Kotlin, whether it's a collections API or others that you see. I mean, adding a builder into the main interface kind of makes it convenient to hide away the implementation. And let's name these parameters for these functions as size. So we'll set up the max size on disk and set up the max size in memory as well. And let's name this one size 2. And lastly, the location. Okay. One more thing we may need to do is also set up some sort of defaults. So, we don't want to be caught in a situation where none of these have been set up. So let's go ahead and first fix the cache implementation to accept the cache config. So we'll also need to send the config into the constructor to the cache impl. So we're sort of wiring up all the components, if you may, so at this point. And now let's type in our disk cache config with all the parameters that are part of the builder, all the members that are in the builder. And it wants us to unwrap the location, but let's just not make these optionals and have some sort of defaults. So I'm going to go ahead and create a few more constants here and have those constants for max size on disk, max size in memory, and the location. So let's start with the first one. Max, what should we call it? Yeah, maybe max size on disk, and let's give it about 100 MB of space. And let's do a max size in memory, so max size in memory as well, and maybe 1/10 the size, so about 10L, so 10 megabytes. And finally, disk cache, also a location by default. Now in here, let's go ahead and assign these as defaults. So if it's not set, it's going to set these up, and we'll do some validations later to make sure that the size in mem doesn't exceed the size on disk, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I just went ahead and typed new file because I'm used to Java. Okay, now it doesn't need to be an optional anymore. And then we can make some of these members also private. I wish it was able to do it for all of them, but apparently not. I'll just type it in. Alright, with that we have just finished coding up a basic interface and we have just wired all our components. Follow me in the next videos and we'll start filling in some of the fetch and store methods, and we'll see how to build that Disk LRU cache. This is a good start, so go ahead and finish this up and let's catch up in the next video. Thank you.